Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to the 5th monthly Q&A video. First of all, thank you all for posting many interesting questions. It's great to see that many of you already have a deep understanding of the internal styles. I'm sure with time, our community will get even stronger. So let's take a quick look at the questions. We will get into details later. First question. Dr. Marodoc, Haichuan versus Yunshen. Second question, Domo Drenchev, Lutang's books. Third, Alex Navarro, Xingyi and Bagua analysis. Question 4, Frederic Godin, training goals. Question 5, FREDtalk, basic exercise in internal styles. Question 6, anonymous number 1, Wushu, Sanda, and internal styles. Question 7, ChiefRockan, Xian Tian Jin. Question number 8, Minal, Bagua, and Baoding balls. Question number 9, Jon Manilenio, silk reeling exercise. And question number 10, anonymous number 2, solo push hand. Now, let's work on them one by one. First question. Dr. Marodoc asks, thank you for producing so many wonderful and educational videos. I'd like to ask you to please make a video with your insights on the story of the fight between Dong Haichuan and Guo Yunshen, Bagua versus Xingyi. Is there any historical truth you could please share with us? Many thanks in advance. Thank you for this interesting question. If I remember well, I have introduced in the video about Guo Yunshen that a popular legend has said that Guo Yunshen met Dong Haichuan, the founder of Bagua, in Beijing, and they fought each other. Well, I have to say that there is no written record about this incident at all. It is highly possible that Guo Yunshen met Dong Haichuan in Beijing, and they might also have shared some of their practice with each other. We have to know that in ancient China, reputed martial artists did not get into fight at the drop of a hat. It was unlikely for two famous martial artists to engage in direct physical fight with each other, since it was closely related to their reputation. If one's livelihood could be destroyed by a single accident, then people would do their best to avoid it. Dong was considered the founder of Bagua, and Guo was considered one of the best masters of Xingyi back then. There was no interest for them to engage in direct combat. Both of them would be risking their reputations and careers. The price was just too high to fight back then. Also, in ancient time, there were many other ways to test martial skills, techniques, and practice without direct fighting. We call this Gong Li Yan Zheng, or martial practice testing. In Taichi, push hands would be a practical method. In Xingyi, practitioners would demonstrate Fajin exercise in order to provide evidence of their Gong Li. To summarize, I highly doubt that credibility of this story. Of course, this story sounds very nice and interesting, and could also be turned into an entertaining movie. Anyway, let's look at the next question. Second question. Domo Drenchev says about Lutang, I heard his master gave him some books, but someone stole it. Have you heard about that, or it is some myth? For me, Lutang was the man who explained most clearly the feelings and what to reach if you want to train internal arts. People have a hard time understanding and accepting that internal style if different and you need a different approach and a different meaning of power. Very few get it right. Thank you for this interesting question. First of all, Sun Lutang was one of the most accomplished martial artists in recent history. He studied all three internal styles and wrote some nice books. It's the first time I'm hearing the story about these stolen books given by his teacher. I honestly have no idea about this incident. However, if this book was stolen by others, I have to say that either the thief was under the wrong impression that simply reading the book would make him good, or the book was useless to begin with. Because if one who stole the book did not manage to become as skilled as Sun Lutang, or if you want to look at it another way, Sun Lutang reached a good level despite the book being stolen from him. Like I mentioned in prior videos, the martial art books written back then was only meant to serve as reference materials for already skilled practitioners. They were not meant for beginners. And for his books, well, in my honest opinion, his books do not carry any special content. There are many other books available which have a lot more informative content. The issue here is that these books have not been translated to English yet, and they only exist in Mandarin. As a result, people only know about Sun Lutang's book in the West. I have to say that I have read all the Chinese martial art books published up until 20 years ago, if they exist in the market. In comparison, Sun Lutang's book were just okay. Again, martial art books are only for reference. Few years ago, a martial artist in China claimed that his family gave him a secret martial art book. Actually, he just hand-copied some old Xingyi documents and claimed it to be a book given by his grandfather. However, the text characters, the ink, the style, the pen used in writing that book did not conform the old standard but was in fact new. As a result, it was easy to notice that it was a fake book, and eventually he confessed. So when people asked me about my opinion on that event, I simply said that I didn't care about any so-called secret book. My body movement is an entire book in itself. A martial artist should make their body movement as a reference, a living, breathing book. So let's look at the next question. Question 3. Alex Navarro posted some good questions. First, were there practitioners that described, analyzed Xingyi and Bagua in detail like Ma Hong did for Chen Taichi? If not, is there any reason other than Ma Hong's scholarly background, such as tradition says it shouldn't be done? I have to say that there is a book as detailed as Ma Hong's Taichi book in Xingyi theory is from Cao Zhiqing. I know him in person. He is much older than I am. More than 30 years ago, when I was a university student, I got this book as a birthday gift from a friend of mine. I still have this book. The name of this book is Xingyiquan 理论研究, or Research on Xingyi Theory. Unfortunately, this book is only in Chinese. Also, this book focuses on the explanation of Xingyi theory, but not on any specific routine or application. So, as far as the intricate theory and the details behind each movement are concerned, there is no such book in either Xingyi or Bagua as detailed as Ma Hong's book on Tai Chi. If you ask me about the reason, well, I have to say that there are many. The main reason is that when Ma Hong studied Tai Chi with Chen Zhaokui, he wrote down all the details in order to memorize them. However, nobody followed such an approach in Xingyi and Bagua practice. Sometimes I feel like reading detailed Xingyi and Bagua books. However, they are different now. We also have video formats available now, and I think video can be a very powerful tool in transferring and preserving knowledge. This is why I'm focusing more on creating videos right now. Of course, I will write some books in the future when my English is good enough. Okay, time for the next question. Question 4. Frederic Godin posts a long message and contains many questions. To save some time, I'd like to summarize his question as following. First, should a practitioner focus on training his weakness or strengths? My answer is it depends. To a younger person, one should focus on training their weakness, since by training their weakness, the strength aspect would be practiced as well. But for someone at their senior age, my suggestion is to practice strength. At a certain age, if we can maintain our skill and ability, that is a huge progress and achievement already. Aging is a natural process and no one can avoid it. So practicing wisely can have a better result. Question 2. In the previous time, was a martial art very well-rounded, or rather sought to achieve very deep proficiency in some technique for self-defense purposes? Before I answer Frederic's question, let me share a few words about him. Frederic was one of my students in Montreal. He practiced Xingyi and Taichi with me for years and had to unfortunately discontinue because of his some other obligations. He's very intelligent and disciplined, which I admire a lot. To answer Frederic's question, well, if we are talking more than 100 years ago, or during my grandfather's time, martial art practice would usually include cultivating special skills resulting from hard training in order to be effective and efficient in self-defense situations. The main purpose of martial art training back then was survival. But that changed later on. So, in my opinion, nowadays we should be more well-rounded than before. For his third question, I will choose another time to answer it since it needs a much longer paragraph. Let's look at the next question. Question 5. FREDtalk asked me 3 questions here. Let me answer them one by one. His first question is, are there established basics for the internal styles as Shaolin has very precise and defined ones? Of course, there are very clearly defined basic exercises in any internal style. I make it a point to go through multiple basic exercises at the beginning of every teaching session. I will teach the whole system, including basic exercise and other formal content of the style. Designing a full developed course contents during the lockdown time is actually my main focus at this moment. So please have patience. Good things will come to those who wait. Also, I have never practiced Shaolin, so I cannot make the comparison as you said in your question. Sorry if that makes my answer incomplete, but I can't help it. FREDtalk's second question is, why does the content of internal styles feel less structured and organized than external styles like Shaolin's? Is it because of the nature of the internal practice that is harder to define and teach them external style which are more concrete? Well, my answer to this question is similar to the first one. The content of internal styles is very organized. Please watch my 3 videos about 3 internal styles content and curriculums. Links are in the description. It is not hard to define an internal style, but you have to know what content exists in each style. Or else, it's natural to feel that it is less structured compared to other styles. To me, it's very clear, organized, and concrete. FREDtalk's last question is, I know it is cultural, but why do you think Japanese martial art practice are so well defined and structured compared to Chinese style? Or is it an accidental perception because information on Chinese style is lacking in the West? Well, please do not misunderstand my words. Or if I did not say it clearly, let me clarify it now. What I said was that Japanese martial art practice is well defined based on my limited exposure to Japanese martial arts. Japanese martial art practitioners have been actively promoting their art for more than half a century. They really make it very organized in terms of their ranking system, testing system, and which automatically helps toward promotion of the art. And this has happened for generations. Our traditional Chinese styles, especially the internal styles, have never experienced this approach due to the nature of the art. It has nothing to do with the art itself. It is about the promotional approach. Furthermore, let me re-emphasize, I only have a limited exposure to Japanese arts. I had a Japanese friend who talked about martial arts with me very often before she passed away. Whatever I said about the Japanese martial arts was mainly based on her information. I hope I have clarified my words this time. Call me biased, but I believe that Chinese martial art, especially the internal styles, are among the best martial art styles in existence today. I always appreciate other arts from different regions and countries. But at the same time, I firmly believe that Chinese internal styles are the best in enriching your quality of life, which include physical, mental, as well as spiritual benefit. This is something I can assure you. Hope that answers your question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 6. Anonymous community members ask, from the previous videos and my own personal experience, I understand that practicing modern Wushu forms at the same time as learning traditional styles may be detrimental as this practice put emphasis on contradictory aspects. Would you say practicing Wushu, Sanda, along traditional styles would be not advisable as well? Could you explain why? Well, short answer, no, it's not a problem. Let me explain. Wushu Sanda was created and developed based on the traditional martial arts starting from a few decades ago. The major difference is in the approach to practice, but the foundation is the same. All of the founding members of Sanda originally trained in the traditional styles. So, if you practice any traditional style, then adding Sanda to improve self-defense skill and experience is surely a good option. This approach may not be widely accepted by the community, but I believe it is a good approach. Let's look at the next question. Question 7. The ChiefRockan asks, since you allow asking question, I will ask you about this. I have never heard about Xian Tian Jin, Could you explain it in more detail? Thank you for asking this question. Xian Tian means prenatal and Jin means power. Together, Xian Tian Jin means prenatal power. It is used to describe a practice that works like a natural reflex. In other words, a martial art practitioner achieves a level high enough that their practice has merged with their natural reflex. It can also be translated as any martial skill expressed as a subconscious reflex in a self-defense situation. In other words, an instinctive self-defense skill and power which you can issue without thinking. The concept of the Xian Tian Jin has been rapidly increasing in popularity in the last decade in the Chinese martial art community. I intend to make it well known to the internal style community, especially outside of China, and I will make videos on it in the future. I hope that answers the question. Okay, let's look at the next question. Question 8. Nomino asks, I have a question regarding the use of Baoding balls. What's your general opinion about them? I use them while moving in a mixed way, relaxed Bagua circle in which some moves and some improvisations which moves are made while rotating the balls in each hand. It's something that I improvised as I asked myself why I should remain immobile while moving the balls. I do not know what benefit there can be in doing this, although it feels good. Thank you. Okay, it's an interesting question. To those who are not familiar with the Baoding balls, let me show you a photo. It is the traditional Chinese toy, most likely used by seniors. You may have also seen movie characters use them. The traditional Baoding balls are hollow iron balls, but very often some other devices could be placed inside the ball. As a result, a nice jingling sound can be heard while moving the balls in your hands. The function of this product is said that by rotating it with your hand, it will naturally stimulate the acupuncture points in the hands, and those acupuncture points are related to different meridians, which connect to the internal organs. So, a common held belief is that this kind of experience can provide health benefits. In China, many people used to have it in their home earlier, but I'm not sure if people still do. Like I said, that traditionally the Baoding ball are made of iron. However, different materials such as stone, jade, or even a pair of walnut seed have instead been used and also become popular. So nowadays in China, people prefer to use walnut seed instead of iron balls. By the way, a pair of good walnut seed can cost you tens of thousands of US dollars in China. Some people just pay that price to own a nice pair of special walnut seed and rotate them in their hands. I have a pair of stone balls given by a friend of mine, Mr. Jonathan Bluestein. He's a martial art teacher and originally he lived in Israel, and then he moved to Canada a couple of years ago after I suggested him to immigrate here. He published a very nice martial art book. One of his books is this one, Research of Martial Art. It is a well-written book. I have another pair of calabash used for the same function. Okay, I got it years ago as a gift, but I do not have time to use them. I believe that I'm still very young to use them to stimulate my meridians. But who knows, maybe in another 100 years, if I manage to outlive the Zhang Sanfeng. Okay? Now, let's come back to nominal question. Of course, you can use the Baoding balls in Bagua practice while improvising some movements. However, my opinion is that it is better to avoid them, simply because in Bagua practice, you need to extend your palm instead of keeping them closed. Moving a pair of iron ball in your hand while making movements will not help you keep your palm in good shape or position. Without a strong extending force in your hand, your Bagua practice would lose half of its benefits. Also, the Baoding balls are very light. They are not heavy enough for strengthening your arm muscles. Or you can hold something heavier and make a Bagua circle. For example, when I was in my earlier stage of my Bagua training, my grandfather made me to circle walking while holding a cement ball. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 9. Jon Manilenio asks, with regard to the silk reeling practice, would you recommend a set number of repetitions per side, or maybe a set number of minutes per side? Also, just shift the weight to left and right and vice versa. No figure 8 movements. Lastly, when is the best time to do silk reeling exercise? Can we do it even if we just ate? Okay, there's a lot of questions. I have to answer them one by one. There's no set number of repetitions per side for each silk reeling exercise. Normally, I ask my students to practice for 5 minutes for both sides combined. The figure 8 movement is one style of silk reeling. You should practice both with figure 8 and without figure 8 movements, but I prefer the 8 figure 1. You can practice silk reeling at any time, which is what I do as well. Hope that answers your question. Okay, final question for today. Question 10. Anonymous member asks, because of coronavirus, we cannot do Tui Shou currently. So for Taichi Tui Shou, it is possible to do solo Tui Shou exercise by moving along and visualizing a partner. If yes, how should I visualize? I mean doing along the Tui Shou form pattern, not the usual Chan Si Gong solo form. Well, my answer to this question is unfortunately no. No matter what techniques you would add in your Tui Shou push-ups, it is still a solo practice without a partner and physical contact. It has nothing to do with push-hand practice. However, what you described here is still valuable. You should visualize and imagine that there is someone in front of you when practicing any form. Hope that answers the question. So that brings us to the end of today's video. Hope you gain some from it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.